Naya B says, I've always wondered, after spending so many years in front of the camera narrating what you're doing, whether on television or YouTube, do you find yourself still narrating in your head or out loud while working on projects when the cameras aren't around? I feel like after so many years, that would be something difficult to turn off. No, I am not necessarily narrating in my head, but I do talk to myself almost constantly when I'm working, which I think shows up on camera. I think you get to see that on this channel a lot. When I am, well, there's a real magic to saying something out loud. I am going to drill 4 holes, and they're all going to be like, I say what the next step is, because saying it has more resonance in my body than just reading it. So like, oh, I'm going to drill 4 holes like this. I'll drill 4 holes in this plate on the non-curved side. And you'll like say that on the non-curved side because it's really easy to read. Oh, drill 4 holes in the plate. You pull out the plate, you put it down, you drill 4 holes, and you drilled them on the wrong side. You meant to do it on the other. That happens a lot. So I say things out loud to myself. Really, most importantly, when you are doing parts that are chiral or identical. Chiral, I mean that they are the mirror images of each other. That's where I talk to myself a lot. I also complain to the stuff I'm working with. Why won't you cooperate? Go over there. This is where you live. So perhaps the narration that I do is more of an extension of the internal conversation than I realized. But at the same time, no, there's a real difference between having the camera on and having the camera off. Because when the camera's on, I'm thinking about you, you're the royal you. I am thinking about your experience of what you're watching. And I'm thinking it through the lens of how I watch YouTube videos, but I also think about it through the lens of responses I see in the comments and the feedback that I get. I do sometimes, I will admit that sometimes I think, oh, this would be a fun explanation. Oh, wow, that is a scroll saw blade. I do think of it sometimes in terms of like, oh, this would be a great piece to camera. This would be a fun one, like explaining something complicated. So it's not necessarily while building, but I'm never not thinking about science communication. I'll tell you where I do tons of narration in my head is watching other science communicators. When I watch Destin or Derek or Michael Stevens or somebody like that on YouTube, when I watch any of the machinists, this old Tony or Stefan talk about the stuff that they're building, I frequently imagine how I would describe such a thing. Or I'll think about, frankly, sometimes I'll think about narrative meat left on the table. I'm like, oh, you could get more out of this video if you made this a little more exciting. I definitely have like, I can't turn off my science communication producer's brain in terms of like looking at the way someone's executing a project online and thinking about ways to make that more dramatic or get more interesting. It's funny, there's, yeah. It's a real, I know that there's a curiosity about questions like this, specifically because, well, there's a lot of people out there who want to do science or building or communication about their, about their discipline on YouTube or on TikTok or, online. And it is a particularly interesting and strange sort of excursion to do that, to go to talking and explaining. And it's not like the more I do it, the more I think about narrating stuff. It's more like over the years, the better that I have gotten at this type of communication has been, if I've gotten better, it's because I continue to redound, I continue to use as my baseline, like we are having a conversation. Like we're actually having a conversation. And I am not trying to be like, hey, look at me, check this out. Of course, that is part of my business and part of what I do. But at the same time, to me, my stock in trade, I feel like, is being a real presence for you on the camera. And so I really think about making sure I'm communicating an honest experience. Honestly, there are sometimes I do a quickie piece to camera and I think, you kind of overdid it there. You should scale it back a little bit. I definitely have that thought. It's a learning process. Let's see here. Mallory Herrick says, after seeing your wonderful appearance on We Walk Dogs, oh yes, I went on a walk recently with our dog Maggie, our 14-and-a-half-year-old wire terrier, with the We Walk Dogs folks, and it was fantasy camp fun. So great. And Maggie is really great on the B-roll. Anyway, Mallory wants to know, what was your favorite dog you met during filming? Could it be the one from the dog park while collecting wee, or maybe one of the scent detection dogs? Was there ever a dog myth you wanted to test but couldn't? Well, I was very fond of Cece and Bobo, the two untrained huskies that we brought on the show for You Can't Teach an Old Dog New Tricks. And I think we took Cece home one night. Yeah, no, I don't think we took. We took one of the dogs home. I think it was Cece. I'm pretty sure it was Cece, the female of the two huskies. And Cece ended up hanging out with my dogs for the night, which was intense to get them to be comfortable and figure the logistics of that out. But there was this really remarkable moment when Cece was much more comfortable outside than inside. So we spent a lot of time walking around and kind of hanging out in the backyard with Cece. And at one point, we're hanging out in the backyard and it's the evening and there's a siren in the distance. This woo, one of those long sort of moaning sirens in the distance. And Cece heard the sound and then responded with the howl. And if you've never been in front of a dog doing an actual howl, what their lips do is it feels so human. You don't normally see an animal adjust its lips for sound. And to see that in front of you is really cool. But I would have to say that my favorite dogs that we worked with on the show were the bloodhounds for the 2 episodes we did about You Can't Beat the Bloodhound. We did all the various throwing the dog off the scent techniques from Cool Hand Luke. And then later we did some drug testing and chase testing with bloodhounds. And frankly, the incredible relationship between a scent dog and its trainer. In the same way that a sniper doesn't work alone, a sniper has a spotter and the two of them are a unit that is a really important divide and conquer unit for the problem that they're solving. Scent dogs are the same thing. Working dogs in law enforcement, the simpatico relationship with their trainer is everything. Now, this is real scent dogs. There are plenty of BS scent trainers out there whose dogs are not, it's controversial, but yeah, there's a bunch of people out there faking what their dogs can do. It's a shame because there are some really good and honest real trainers who are training their dogs to do real world stuff. And there's also a lot of people who are making claims about what their dogs can and can't do that are slightly unhinged from reality. That's as broad as I'm going to get, as specific as I'm going to get with that. But watching the dog and trainer go through the process of tracking and then watching the joy in both of them when the mission is accomplished is so thrilling. I can just still hear the trainer yelling, "Who's a good boy?" And the dog just freaking out and drooling with joy over having found me or Jamie. That was really thrilling. Thank you so much for watching. If you'd like to support us even further, you can by becoming a tested member. Details are, of course, below, but it includes all sorts of perks, and we're building them all the time. You get advanced word and behind-the-scenes photos of some of our projects. Questions, you get to ask direct questions during my live streams, and we have some members-only videos, including the Adam real-time series of unbroken, unedited shots of me working here in the shop. They are weirdly meditative. Thank you guys so much. I'll see you on the next one.